Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. I think this is the real Friends Reunited. That's my opinion, anyway. Welcome to Cambridge. I'm Stewart Dresner, founder and chief executive of Privacy Laws of Business, celebrating our 35th anniversary. And we have people here, not only in the room, more people coming later, and people online from all over the world, from Brazil, Australia, Hong Kong, and so on. And so WINS is our 35th anniversary conference. Why anniversary? Because this is the milestone for us running the world's longest running independent international privacy law conference, and only the data protection authorities, the regulators, will be going a few more years. And why celebrate? Because for many of us in the privacy law field, this is the first opportunity to get together in person for over 2.5 years. So thanks for joining us here in Cambridge. For those of you who find it difficult to imagine a conference running continuously for such a long period, you can speak to Professor Christopher Millard, who's around somewhere, and you'll hear from him later. We first met in Madrid, an event I organised in 1985, and he's been very supportive ever since. And he's talking about privacy clouds later in the morning. And he was in Windsor for our second conference, so we can sort of got the evidence to support the assertion. For the record, we've been here at St John's College for most of the years since 1992, 30 years. Now, the winds have changed. The video you just saw, the song and the video by the Scorpions, and this record was released in 1991. It was a record, actual physical record. Those round things. Some of you might be old enough to remember a record. And that was released in 1991, clearly refers to the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, a little later, the end of the Soviet Union, the Cold War, and Russia opening up to a more liberal climate. This song and the video now have a special resonance for us all, thinking back to the Hungary uprising in 1956, the Prague Spring of 1968, and the subsequent Russian invasions, including, of course, Ukraine. But what about the resonance today? It's too easy to associate the winds of change with the Soviet Union era, the secret police, the KGB, and the Stasi in Eastern Germany, which we can think of as traditional government surveillance. But what about today's version of the trend? Monitoring of individuals by governments and companies is now everywhere and covers everyone. Every individual is part of a larger group, the workplace, consumer of a specific product or service, a local international community, a political party, or an interest group. So the sense of cohesion, loyalty, and contacts with others is a welcome part of life, often helped by groups of friends and associates brought together by the major social media. And as part of the process, the social media companies focus both on the individual and the group as the unit for their attention. And with the help of artificial intelligence, companies can interpret communications with friends and purchase decisions as insights into the mood of individuals and groups of friends. And the similar activities can be called connecting or harvesting, whichever way you look at it. So each person who clicks anywhere on a web page or an app is sharing their data with potential advertisers via real-time bidding. So how should companies inform each person that every click they make, every step they take, will be monitored and sold to the highest bidder? Individuals' data is being channeled down unknown paths. People do not know where these lead, and the process is not transparent. So we will have sessions today in which we cover all sides of this issue. Now, our conference picture behind me, you'll see some of the people here, by the way, it's captured in 2019. You can see the sun shining on the iron person in the water. The sun rays represent the intense focus of companies identifying the unique characteristics of each person by collection and processing of personal, sensitive, and metadata. If they're aware, people can easily feel that they are facing an uneven struggle with powerful waves washing around them. They are the specific target 24/7 of every type of media. Most people are not aware of this ecosystem. This conference identifies the forces at play and will help you take them into account into your risk assessment of how your organisation should act. It is clear that privacy laws are our focus, but many other laws are also relevant, including laws on intellectual property, employment, marketing, and others. Now, here we have a cartoon. So this is the sort of increasing levels of engagement. So the first one says the gym shoes show you liked in our survey are on sale. Oh, that's very good. The next one is the gym on the right. the gym shoes you browsed last year are on sale. Okay. And then the one on the bottom left, I hear you have new gym membership. Need any shoes? What? What's going on? And then finally, maybe you wouldn't have skipped your workout today if you had new shoes, obviously being an app, some fitness app there. Okay, so that sort of sets the scene and what we're talking about in several of the sessions. Now, at the heart of all these issues is the ability to act autonomously, as expressed in the title of a session this afternoon, Free Will, Nudging and the Law, led by Adriana Nucta, another long-standing colleague. So how can individuals, people individually exercise free will if companies use manipulative design techniques? Now, everyone agrees manipulative design should not be used, and there's obviously various ways of looking at that. And we're pleased to have you back, Adriana Nucta, who came up with this session. Now, a running theme in the winds of change is the extent to which personal data is deployed in innovative products and services with the knowledge of the individuals involved, the data subjects. So in parallel, we have a session with the title, The EU Data Act, Gateway to Innovation, with OneTrust, Linda Thilova. And lovely to see you. Now, moving on to the UK government's plans for reform of the data protection law, which was published just over 2 weeks ago, conveniently just in time for this conference, obviously carefully negotiated with the government to publish their thing just in time for people to study it and have a decent session here. The UK's reform programme reflects the winds of change by taking data protection law in a somewhat new direction, encouraging personal data to be deployed in a freer way to stimulate innovation, and shifting the ICO's course, the regulator's course, become more of an economic regulator. So that's a new way of a new sort of somewhat new direction for the Information Commissioner. So we at this conference have the privilege to be one of the first to hear directly from one of the government's policy team, both on the rationale for the changes and how they will be tackled in practice, with a response from the ICO. And we have one of the policy team here, so Elizabeth Stafford, who's coming tomorrow, will be able to get into the detail and answer all your questions about the precise directions of the government. Now, the UK government claims that it will not abandon the EU standards of protecting individual rights. In response, the European Commission is watching the details of the bill due to soon start its passage through the UK Parliament. We know that EU adequacy means essentially equivalent, not identical, but to what extent will the UK diverge from the norm, the EU norm? And how will the European Union continue to exercise its global ambition as the gold standard in privacy and digital services? Will the European Commission, apply the same standards to countries in Asia, Africa and Latin America seeking an EU adequacy declaration as a standard it applies to the UK? The adoption of data protection laws in some countries in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East have a limited form of democracy. It means these laws are changing from a rights to a transactional basis, a different kind of data protection law. So this is a shift to laws as an economic enabler, safe venue for the processing of personal data. To help us understand what is happening, I'm delighted that Hans Müller, the person in the European Commission who reviews existing adequacy findings, will speak in our session tomorrow. And so you'll hear that session tomorrow. In addition, we have a record number of 5 speakers from the UK's ICO and also from data protection authorities in Belgium, Canada, France, Japan, Singapore, the European Data Protection Board and the European Data Protection Supervisor. Wojciech Wierowski is due to arrive today. One of our speakers I'd like to welcome back is Javier Fernandez Samaniego. I think he's here somewhere. Yes, there he is over the back. Oh, Professor Millard is sitting next over there, so that's him. You can check and talk to him about glories of our conference in Windsor in 1989, I think. Anyway, Javier Samaniego is one of the shortlisted candidates to become the president of Spain's regulator, the AEPD. But regulators amongst the audience here or online include those from Switzerland, Brazil, and Hong Kong. Now, there are new examples of data collection, and a continuous theme is that data is collected in new ways, never envisaged by the classic surveillance of dissenters in the Soviet era. But also, of course, there's surveillance in the UK, the United States, and many other governments. So I'll share 3 examples of modern types of data collection which were never envisaged by the KGB. So in the pandemic in Spain, the police used drones to monitor cars travelling further from their owners' homes than the rules permitted. So the drones then communicated with the police stopped the cars, asked the drivers where they're going, why they're going, are they going out too far from their homes? And so that was one form of modern data collection. Another one is detecting crime from travel patterns. The decision last month of the US Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade and leave it to the individual states to decide whether abortion should be permitted or banned in different circumstances. This decision may lead women to fear buying plane or train tickets to another state. They could be a risk of their data being hacked by anti-abortion groups, thus potentially criminalizing them and leaving them open to attack. I hope you have seen that we have a round table on Wednesday afternoon led by Claudia Berg, who's sitting quietly here. And thanks for suggesting that session of you're the General Counsel at ICO, and the session is Privacy Invasion as a Weapon Against Women. And I think that chimes in rather well with Roe versus Wade, yes. And the third example is the legalization of recreational cannabis, which in Canada, which means that now the use of payment cards sometimes leads to difficulties in crossing the border from Canada to the USA. Several states in the US and countries in Europe are relaxing their laws on the sale and consumption of recreational cannabis, a transition from a criminal to a health issue. What's the impact on the collection and processing of such sensitive data? And we'll address this in a session later this morning in the parallel room, which is just up the stairs to the right. And we have with us, I'm very pleased, Michael Mcavoy, Information and Privacy Commissioner from British Columbia, Canada. Where are you, Michael? Somewhere. There he is, right there. Yeah. And as far as I know, this is the first session anywhere, certainly in Europe, on this subject, recreational cannabis. It's completely new as far as I know. There are many sessions I could talk about, but there are too many to mention. But I will mention our round table coming up shortly on the 14th of July on all about the UK data protection law reform. And that's on the 14th of July in London, details on our website. But this conference is not all about the content of sessions. I know that many of you have come here to meet the regulators, connect with your peers and forge new professional relationships during our breaks and social events. The photos around the screen show these aspects which are important to the conference. We enjoy all our meals together and make new friends. And one of our regular participants described this conference as being part of the PL&B family. And I think that's a rather nice way, good way to put it, good way to describe the atmosphere. And our PL&B team will welcome your suggestions on the feedback form, which I hope you picked up, which is a paper document, but we still can use paper occasionally. And you can fill it in online if you feel so inclined. Right, so we want to refresh the formula and find new ways of doing things. Now, talking to the PL&B team, I'd like to recognise the outstanding support by my wonderful colleagues. I won't name them all, but they're here amongst you with blue dots, or should have blue dots. Yes, blue dots, there you go. We've got blue dots on our things, on our badges, and very appreciative of all your help, support through the difficult years recently. And this year we had the PL&B student essay competition sponsored by Meta, and I congratulate the winners. Are the winners here? Because I wanted to recognise them and give them a round of applause, but if they're not here, there's no point. So, yes, hello. Right, okay, one of our winners is here. Hello, well done. So you are obviously, sorry, you're both here. Right, congratulations. So we've got Sarah Vota Okeli, and you're a law student at the Free University of Brussels, and Pablo Quero, how do you pronounce your name? Cineros. Great, thank you. So you've won the essay competition, and your essays are on our website, which you can read anytime. Let's have a round of applause for that. Right, well, that's wonderful, thank you. And mix and mingle and make the most of the opportunity here. And right, it's now time for our first session, the rise of sexual regulation for big tech. What does the future hold? The narrative is nuanced. It's not all about data protection authorities in combat with big tech. There are relationships and building. Stephen Bonner, who's here from the ICO's Executive Director of Regulatory Futures and Innovation, will be speaking later, publicly praised Google. I think that's important to say, for its cooperation on cookies. Big tech has tremendous resources, and we should engage with them. Despite taking enforcement action when necessary, the ICO and other regulators actively engage with even the largest tech company. This session was proposed by Claudia Berg, thank you, and be chaired by Rob Summeroy, who's here, who's itching to get started. So I will say, I will come up and I declare the conference open.